Ein bei Nacht ist die Jahrzeit von unserem Namen, der Rabbi zum Schusse Jürgen Olin. Und ich wollte gewollt nehmen, Blaise, ein paar Minuten, zu teilen sich ein paar Gedanken, was gehen darauf. We all remember when the Rabbi said that she is completely underestimated. The only one who fully estimates her and measures her is the Eibashter Kaviyach. And therefore, far be it for me, as it will be for many others, to go that way. So just a few moments for a few points to share. We find the Rebbetzin, even though she was like our first mother, Sarah. When the Malachim said to Avrohm, "Where is Sarah?" He says, "Boihel." She is in the tent. So was our Rebbetzin. Nevertheless, some rays have broken through that veil and reached us, and they can enlighten and enrich our lives. The Rebbetzin appears at the very critical moments in the history of our father, the Frierdiker Rebbe, and of course of our Rebbe. She appears at a time when the Frierdiker Rebbe faced the arrest in 1927, and at that time the Rebbe chose her to have the power of attorney, which carries a lot of meaning with it. And indeed, when he was exiled to Kostroma, it was the Rebbetzin that accompanied him there. And there, when the moment came that he was actually granted freedom, it was the Rebbetzin who brought this great news to the world. A very critical moment in the history, and the one that we encounter there in the center is the Rebbetzin. And therefore, it's important for us to remember that the marriage, the Nesuin between the Rebbe and the Rebbetzin took place in 1928, Tofesh Peites. 25 years later, in Tofshin Yudalet, 1953, unexpectedly on that Shabbos, the Rebbe came out of Farbrengen. And at that Farbrengen, the Rebbe said the following line: "It is the day that connected me with you and you with me. We shall struggle together and bring out the Geula." Which means that the Deir HaShvi began, our Deir, with our Rebbe's connection began on that day of the Nisuin. And therefore it's important for us to remember this. This is a source of encouragement and strength. And I would like to mention here a very personal moment. It was during a difficult time when the Rebbe's brother, Rabbi, passed away. And they wanted to hide the news from the Rebbe's mother to protect her fragile health. And in order to do that, there were regular communications that Rabbi would have with his mother, which have now been accomplished by the Rebbetzin. So the Rebbetzin has to act on his behalf. At that time, she expressed once to a chassid who was close in the house. She said to him, "Mein ganzen Leben habe ich nicht gesagt a Sach, was sie nicht emes. Und jetzt muss ich das tun. In all of my life, I've never uttered anything untrue." Can we imagine what it means? The statement by her, in all of my life. And then from there we move on to the very critical moment that is so famously known. When the Mishpat Asforim, the trial of the books, which carried with them terrible consequences, as we find at the moment when we notified the Rebbe that this has come to an end, the full end of that case, The expression of the Rebbe was, Nu, et me jetzt kennen. Now we'll be able, paused. And then says, Zogen. Again paused, Teure. Zogen Teure. That is the essence of the Rebbe, that's the essence of his life. And he was interfered and interrupted by this whole process. And this came before the federal court. I remember we were sitting day in, day out from early in the morning, watching carefully the face of the judge to see whether we can notice on his face any reaction that would give us an idea which way it's going. No reaction whatsoever the whole time. But when the deposition of the Rebbetzin, which in itself was something no one would have expected, that she agreed to, knowing her demeanor, and she agreed to it, Mesiras Nefesh. But when he saw that in the court, and he heard her stating, when they asked her, who did the books belong to? And she said, my father and the books belong to the Chassidim. This was a statement that brought out, in simple words, but the essence of Chassidus. We speak of his kashrus and all the kinds. This has never been mentioned ever by anyone. The connection of the Rebbe, as the Rebbe belonged to Chassidim, and seine Sforim belonged to Chassidim. She says the only private thing he has is the Taos and Tefillin. And that is said by the daughter, by the Rebbetzin, who spoke so little, if anything, ever. That made the impression. And that is what won the day for the struggle and the battle of the day Hashvi. Can we understand, can we imagine what it is? And therefore, this is a day in which the Rebbe explains the meaning of her name. Her name reflects the essence of the day Hashvi. Her name is Chaya, which represents life with all of its meaning and significance. Very high. Chai Chai. And at the same time, Mushke represents a name which is of the lower language, not Hebrew, not even Yiddish, because it is always pronounced Musia. Very, very. Why? Because that represents the Deir Hashvi, to bring down the very high above. Let us remember, as the Rebbe says, Mazar b'chaim afu b'chaim. Yankov Avinu leimeis. Yankov Avinu continues his life because his offspring, his children, continue what his life meant and what his life represented. Afu b'chaim. Can you imagine? Many times she was quoted as having said to some that the shluchim, the chassidim, they are our children. It was an expression of hers in private to some people. And we drew on that expression. But the Rebbe said, Mazar b'chaim afu b'chaim. In no uncertain terms. He said it once and he said it in Amukat Sikha. Now, do we know what the Deir Hashvi is? Do we know where it started? Do you know what it means, a kesher? We talk about his kashrus. His kashrus of a chosid to the Rebbe. How about his kashrus of the Rebbe to the chosid? And the Rebbe said to him, matter. Aber mit Mush matter and the Geula. And that is what the day is bringing to us. To belong. That we have been assigned the ability of Zaro B'chaim. And to remember Afu B'chaim. They wish to help that we should rise to the moment and grab of the moment as much as possible. How much we need of that inspiration. And the Rebbetzin is the one who really told us was meant Chassidim, was meant Rebbe, was meant Dira B'Tachtenim. They wish to help us Chusa Yogan Aleinu, and should be the Chaim with the Rebbe Zog, return back with the Geula Shleima B'Kor of Mamish. Wir sollen leben, so sein gelebt.